Hello there, I am Karsten Stark of Stark Tech, located in the virtual world of Sinespace. Today I'm going to go over the features and functionality of the ST-X1 aircraft. If you are unfamiliar with the ST-X1 or just want to see it in action, take a look at our demonstration video linked below. Without further ado, let's jump in the cockpit and see what is what. First off, the ST-X1 functions just like a regular Sinespace vehicle. You can grab a copy from the shop if you don't have one already. Just hit the Vehicles tab and search for Stark Tech, or visit one of our worlds that has a sales kiosk. Once you have a copy, it can be found in your inventory under Vehicles. This is it right here. Click it and select the Drive button. Alternatively, you can drag the icon down into your hotbar if you think you'll be flying frequently. You are now in the cockpit of the ST-X1. Anytime you are in the aircraft, you will see the instrument panel as a HUD on your screen. Let's take a quick look at these gauges. The first one here is the airspeed indicator. It tells you how fast you're going in nautical miles per hour or knots. This one here is the attitude indicator. It has an artificial horizon that gives you an idea of what orientation your aircraft has in relation to the virtual world's horizon. There are some numbers on there that show how many degrees your nose is pointing up or down as well. Next up is the altimeter. This indicates your elevation above the region's zero mark, which ideally will be sea level, and measures this elevation in feet. This gauge down here is the fuel gauge. Lucky for you, fuel is infinite at the moment. We may add the option to enable fuel usage and refueling stations in the future for those that would like some roleplay options. This gauge is the turn and slip indicator. The needle on the top tilts with the aircraft. If you can hold that needle as close as possible to the indicated marks, you will execute a turn at a rate of 10 degrees per second. The ball at the bottom of the gauge indicates the horizontal movement of the aircraft, or the slip. Here we have the heading indicator. This essentially shows your compass direction. This is the vertical speed indicator. It shows you your rate of ascent or descent in feet per minute. This gauge is the tachometer. It shows the current engine speed as a percentage of maximum. When you first start it up, it will idle around 20%. You can then increase the throttle to ramp up your RPMs and in turn increase forward thrust. That's it for the gauges, but there are also a few other important buttons on this HUD. Many of the controls on this aircraft can be handled through keyboard buttons as well as the HUD. Gamepad controls are also available if you have an Xbox controller plugged in. I won't reference the gamepad buttons here though, as they are subject to change, but I'll keep an updated list in the description below. As you can see, the default camera view is a chase cam. This can be toggled through any other available views by hitting the camera button on the instrument panel here, or by hitting the V key on your keyboard. We'll cycle through those views now. This button here will open the control panel. In this control panel, you can set your tail number as well as hand off control of the aircraft to a nearby friend or acquaintance to go for a spin. The tail number is saved to your avatar, so anytime you get in an X1, your tail number will update to the last one you saved. The tail number is also networked, so everyone else nearby can see your custom message. Please keep it PG-13, the same as you would in chat. A few things to note: if you pass control of the aircraft over to someone else, they can return control to you through this same control panel on their end. If someone else is flying and they delete the aircraft or leave the region, you may spawn another one. If you as the owner leave the region while someone else is flying your aircraft, the aircraft will disappear for them. You do not need to have your X1 returned to you before you leave or log out. You will continue to have a copy of the aircraft in your inventory. This button here is a delete or despawn button. You can also use the delete key on your keyboard to access this function. On the opposite side of the instrument panel are a few more buttons. This one here controls the landing gear and can also be toggled with the G key on the keyboard. I wouldn't normally recommend retracting the landing gear while you're sitting on the ground, but let's give it a shot. You can see the indicator is green when the landing gear is fixed in the down position, and now it's yellow to indicate it's in the process of retracting. Yikes, good thing we don't have to worry about paint scratches on here. Okay, now the indicator is going to turn red. There it goes. And that indicates the landing gear is fully retracted and secured. We'll toggle it again to see the landing gear come back down. One thing to note is the landing gear is fully networked, so avatars nearby will see and hear the landing gear operated just as you do. This button here is the toggle for the position lights. You can also toggle them with the L key on the keyboard. Green is on and red is off. The lights are also networked, so if you want other avatars flying nearby to see you in the dark, turn on those lights. Or if you want to be sneaky, go ahead and shut them off. This button here is the engine on and off toggle. Green is on and red is off. You can also toggle this with the P key on the keyboard. P for power. The engine and throttle controls are networked as well, so bystanders will hear and see you fire up that engine and ramp it up for takeoff. The audio is also 3D spatialized, so you can actually hear the Doppler effect when someone buzzes you. We have a few more items to go over, and then we'll fire it up. The main flight controls are handled via the keyboard or gamepad. You'll also notice all the controls are listed in the system chat when you first spawn the aircraft. Let's run through those real quick now. W and S pitch forward and backward, A and D roll left and right, Q and E yaw left and right, which is handy for turning around on the ground, P starts and stops the engine, R and C throttle up and down, the gear and lights we discussed already, which are G and L. The backspace key will recover your vehicle if you happen to get stuck somewhere on the ground. Note that you have to be stationary for the recovery function to work. And of course, the delete key will delete the vehicle, as mentioned earlier. Now let's get out of the plane for a moment, as there's one more important HUD to discuss. You can see this new panel at the top of the screen. Anytime the aircraft is spawned, you are the pilot in command, and you're outside of the aircraft. It provides quick and easy access to the delete button, the control panel button for changing tail numbers and transferring to another pilot, and also this handy recall button. Say you fell out of your plane and have no idea where it is, or you are just really stuck in some trees. Move your avatar somewhere you think the aircraft will be free of obstacles and hit this button. It will place the aircraft facing the same direction as your avatar, several meters in front of you and slightly above. Between this command and the recover command, you will likely never need to despawn and respawn if you get stuck somewhere or lose your vehicle. Another thing to note is that this vehicle will not automatically despawn over time. It will only despawn if you specifically delete it or leave the region. So if you are having a party and want an airplane for decoration, you can totally do that. That about sums it up, and now it's off to the wild blue yonder. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for flying with StarkTech. Have a great flight.